There's been some people online expressing concern that Yaminoob has gotten too soft. They're saying that I don't care about sport bikes anymore. Some people have gone as far to say that I am responsible for the declining production of traditional 4-cylinder sport bikes. Wow, whether I wield that power or not, it's not important today. Today I'm just here to throw sensibility and practicality and consideration and value out of the window. People want no nonsense, no holds barred, balls to the wall sport bikes, and they're willing to pay through the nose to get it. So for today's video, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about some of the most ridiculous limited production race replica motorcycles with zero consideration for price or value or practicality. Just some nice, crazy, powerful motorcycle eye candy for the Sigma 20-somethings to drool over. This is what you guys want? Enjoy it. We're gonna start off strong with the Ducati Superleggera V4. Why spend $40,000 on a Ducati when you can spend $100,000 instead? More is always better, so yes, that applies to purchase price as well. This is the third Superleggera offered by Ducati following the $1199 Superleggera and the $1299 Superleggera V-twin models. The Superleggera V4 was Ducati's attempt at seeing just how far they could push the pocketbooks of their most prestigious customer base before they felt resistance. And considering I don't think they had any issues selling out of all 500 units, I guess they were never met with any pushback. In all seriousness, the Superleggera is actually incredible. It was Ducati's effort to make the most accurate race replica motorcycle possible while maintaining some semblance of street legality. The V4 uses the Stradale V4 engine that produces 234 horsepower when equipped with the race kit that includes a titanium Akrapovic exhaust, so that might be just enough to make sure you're not outpaced by a 12-year-old on a Ninja 400 at your next track day. The Superleggera V4 is built with a whole lot of titanium, magnesium, carbon fiber, which results in a 335-pound dry weight, which is just astonishing given the power this thing makes. Again, that's equipped with the race kit, but why would you not have the race kit? That would be ridiculous. You're already spending $100,000. What's the point in cheaping out on the race kit at the very end? This bike is equipped with Ducati's MotoGP-derived tech package, meaning it has all the necessary digital nannies needed to keep this bike from literally unaliving every person foolish enough to swing a leg over it. The Superleggera is very much an exercise in exuberance, where Ducati's engineering team were tasked with making a motorcycle with no consideration other than making it as powerful and as light as humanly possible. And it's about as close as to a MotoGP bike as you can get brand new. And hey, it's cooler than a Lamborghini Street Fighter or a Supreme Edition, one of those bikes, right? And I guess we gotta get a sound clip of this bad boy. Let's take a listen to what par excellence in motorcycling sounds like. Those hot-blooded Italians aren't the only ones known for making motorcycles that defy the will of God. These days, Honda might be known for making bikes tailored to the jeans, shorts, and white Reebok crowd like the Goldwing or the Africa Twin, and working on accessible entry-level options for beginner riders, but deep down inside, Big Red still lives the beating heart of a world-class racing team. Soichiro Honda was truly goated in the sauce, and he wanted one thing, and it was disgusting. The Honda RC213 VS is one of those bikes that feels more like a myth or an urban legend than an actual street legal bike that was sold. I think it's partially because there's like multiple tiers of limitations set in place. Firstly, there was the $184,000 price tag, and then beyond that, the bike was like insanely limited in pretty much every country it was sold. In the US, it was producing just 100 horsepower from the factory, which is mind-bogglingly neutered when you consider it makes well over 200 with the HRC race kit, which supposedly wasn't even made available to US customers for noise compliance reasons. For those who were lucky enough to have access to this bike with the race kit and the tune installed, the RC213 VS is the closest you can get to riding a Honda MotoGP bike. The name might be familiar to you if you're a diehard fan because the RC213V is the bike that Honda won the Constructors' Championship 7 times, so it's pretty good. The heart of the machine is its 999cc V4, an engine directly derived from the RC213V race race bike ridden by the likes of Marc Marquez and Danny Pedrosa and all of Marc's rivals that he destroyed throughout the years. We got Pol Espargaro, Jorge Lorenzo, his own brother. I mean, the list goes on and on. Thanks to its refinement tech and high-end components, this machine is deceptively easy to ride, even when its full power is unlocked. The frame, suspension, and swing arm are all lifted from Honda's racing program as well, so you know it's the real deal. There's about 200 RC213 VSs ever produced, and some sources say it would be 213, and I think that sounds like a nice and specific number that matches the bike, so we're gonna go with that. This bike is super special. It even earned the title of the most expensive Japanese motorcycle ever sold at one point, having sold at auction in 2022 for a whopping $265,000, which was only eclipsed by a 0-mile 1997 Honda NSR 500V that sold for $267,607. Motorcycles are rarely an investment you can expect to go up in value, but at least a handful of people have made a nice chunk of change on these limited Honda racing machines. Truly special, truly race-derived. This one is like nothing else, and if you actually see one of these, it's like spotting a unicorn. Let's give it a listen. Now, quick sidebar, if you don't have $267,000 to float on a brand new racing machine, you can get started at yammynoob.co and become a member and earn a chance to win a motorcycle for free this year. I'm going to be giving away a new motorcycle every single month this riding season, so this year is the best chance you've ever had to win. On top of that, we're not advertising any of this on Facebook or Instagram, so if you're watching these YouTube videos, you're the only audience that gets a chance to win. So head over to yammynoob.co, become a member today, and lock in your chances to win our amazing giveaway bikes. We're giving away the bikes with the most hype this year. We're talking Yamaha R9, CF Moto 675 SS, and we're probably going to do a spicy Ducati Panigale as well. Don't miss out your chance to win. Head over to yammynoob.co and become a member and support the show. So race bikes are cool and all, but there's a problem. They're a little boring. Do you know why? Rules. There's too many rules when it comes to what is or isn't allowed in motorcycle racing, so for the next part of the list, we're going to talk about a bike that breaks all the rules. The Ninja H2 R. Kawasaki is probably the most unhinged of all the Japanese motorcycle manufacturers. They were ballsy enough producing the street legal H2, but then they decided, hey, let's just make a track-only variant that costs $60,000 where we don't have to comply with any sort of rules or regulations or anything like that. It's not street legal, it's not homologated for racing, it's just a rich sport bike fan's wet dream. It's a motorcycle built without compromise, without apology, and without any restraint. The H2R is powered by a 998cc inline 4-cylinder engine boosted with a centrifugal supercharger that was designed in-house by Kawasaki's aerospace division. If that's not the coolest thing you've ever heard, then I don't know what to tell you. The core powerhouse doesn't sound too dissimilar from the street legal H2, but Kawasaki has worked some sort of voodoo black magic to make the H2R produce an astronomical 310 horsepower from the factory, and 326 horsepower when the ram air fully engages at speed. The H2R makes fast boys weep tears of joy and infants cry in terror. The H2R exists because Kawasaki decided the world needed to know what happens when you build a motorcycle without rules, and what happens is pure unfiltered insanity. You might think you're slick with your H2 or your S1000RR or even your M1000RR or your Panigale V4S, but really, you're a pleb compared to those with the gumption to buy an H2R. And yeah, it's not street legal, but who cares? Rules don't really apply to rich people. You get an H2R, you get a traffic lawyer on retainer, put some lights on it, you're good to go. Let's see how it sounds. Tamburini might have the highest body count of any motorcycle designer in history. He's been able to arouse more men than even your mom just solely from his motorcycle designs. He's the mastermind behind the Ducati 916, the Bimota SB2, and the MV Agusta F4. And for the next bike on our list today, we have the F4 1000 Tamburini, the limited edition superbike named after the design chief himself. The F4 1000 was a product of an era when motorcycles weren't just about peak power or technological feats, they were about raw emotional appeal. The F4 Tamburini was produced in 2005 and limited to just 300 units. Priced at $43,000 when brand new, it was nearly twice the cost of flagship Italian superbikes at the time. Adjusted for inflation, that's about 70 grand in today's dollars. Looking at recent auction prices, it looks like they even sold right around $30,000 in recent years. That just proves my point earlier that rarely do limited edition bikes end up being worthwhile financial investments. But hey, that's life. And like the title says, for today's purposes, money isn't real, and we're all just pretending these motorcycles are all within the reach of the Cheeto-crusted fingertips of all the spec sheet warriors on the internet. The 998cc 4-cylinder engine was making just 173 horsepower, but because of the torque shift system, which was a race-derived variable intake system, the bike just continued to pull harder as the RPMs climbed. The bike exudes all of the classic Tamburini design elements like flowing bodywork, a single-sided swing arm, and a quad exit undertail exhaust. MB Agusta is of course no stranger to beautiful, exotic, and powerful motorcycles, but they definitely produced a lot of gems in the mid-2000s. Let's take a listen. KTM might not be good at business, but they're certainly good at making extreme motorcycles that, when working properly, can really excite people. The RC8C is KTM's highly limited track-only sport bike, and it is the only bike on today's list I have actually had the pleasure to ride.
Oh my God!
It's not a DOT-compliant race replica, it's a purpose-built machine that is meant for unadulterated track performance, just the way I like it. At its core, it uses an 889cc LC8C parallel twin that's been refined and milked for everything it's got for ultimate racing chops. It has titanium valves, titanium connecting rods, a bespoke airbox, and a full Akrapovic exhaust. RC8C produces 135 horsepower, which might seem rather docile compared to the 200 plus horsepower we've been talking about today, but with the 313 pound dry weight, the power to weight ratio of the RC8C is pretty competitive. From the frame to the suspension, bodywork, down to the carbon winglets, this bike is built with intention. The first generation RC8C went on sale in 2021, and all 100 units sold out in under 5 minutes. Can you imagine you have a good enough business to where you make 100 of something and you sell it in 5 minutes? That's pretty sweet. For 2023, another 200 were produced and they sold out in less than 3 minutes. There are some 0-mile 2023 models floating around for sale for between $45,000 and $50,000. With the direction KTM is heading, who knows, these could become some collector's items sooner or later, or you could be an alpha giga chad and rip it on track as was intended. The choice is yours. Let's give this bike a listen. As I mentioned, I got the chance to ride this thing. It is just simply phenomenal. I literally only did about 6 or 7 laps with it with no setup or prep, and I did my fastest ever time at ECR with it, so it's just glorious. That brings us to the end of our little journey today. I hope this satisfies all the fast boys out there who have collectively decided I spend too much time disparaging sport bikes. Guys, I like sport bikes. I'm just also pragmatic and understand their use case. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed checking out some of these beautiful machines, and no matter what, we can all agree that they're way cooler than an S1000 RR. Thanks for watching to the end. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. We've got just a few days left of the MT07 giveaway, so head over to yamanoob.co and lock in those entries and take advantage of the multiplier we currently have running. I'll catch you all later. Fact: sloths can hold their breath longer than dolphins. Goodbye.
Keep watching Yami Noob!